Hey everyone, my name is Katie, and forgive me if this sort of runs a little longer than, let's say, the last one I did where it was like 30 minutes long. I'm going to try to keep it to that time limit, but I kind of, let me get into it then. So, I am a bit shy and reluctant to share my views of the Weezer's Blue album, the 30th, because this is a new thing for me. I'm not a critic by all means, kind of thing. I mean, literally, I'm a big fan of the Beatles, and people were always saying stuff about Giles Martin's mixes or remixes and how he got it wrong and how they didn't want it because they were digital remastered, that kind of thing. And I kind of defended that. But yeah, I agree that there's some things that I actually agreed with them on, but the alternative of losing their music, I was like, I'd rather take those remixes and not lose it. So, I mean, obviously, because that's the great thing about digital is that the preservation of albums, where as in like an audio tape degrades over the years, you never know what you're going to get. And obviously with a band like something like the Beatles, they probably took really good care of the analog tapes, but you can't always guarantee that's what they did. So, and this is the thing is I'm picking apart this album, but I'm also not really taking into account what the producers probably had to go through, what the remaster had to go through to maybe get what he eventually got. I mean, if there was some degradation in the tape that he had to kind of overcome. So taking that into account, I'm sorry, but I have given Weezer's Blue album on the 30th edition, or 30th anniversary edition, the 33.5 and the 45 half speed, many chances. I've tried to love this album. I really, really, really wanted to love it. But there's just some things that really bug me about it. And I mean, I really wanted to hear what I thought the 45 half speed would be. And it's just, I mean, why give us something that's known for its detail without the detail right out of the box? I mean, I have to sort of EQ it to get rid of some unpleasantness in the guitar. I mean, I get it. The guitar is emphasized, but it was emphasized enough on the original. It doesn't need it anymore. It doesn't. It was perfect the way it was. Sorry, I kind of have a couple guidelines I want to go through to hopefully help keep this coherent and short. But, like, I don't regret buying them. I mean, I don't regret the 45 half speed. I mean, it's a nice sort of fun thing to have as a collector. The box set, unless you are dead set on buying vinyl, I would go after the CD box set, as long as it has all the extras that come with, or all the extras that you would want out of it, because I really like the extras that are in the box set. I think it fits Weezer as a band. I think it sort of fits the album, and it's kind of a fun collector's item to have. So if you're like a super fan of it, it's fun. But, honestly, if you don't want to spend a lot of money for a box set, the CD one was like under $100. I think it was like 89 something. And we have Black Friday coming up, so who knows? Maybe you can find a deal. And I also like the pull string on it. So, as I said, it's a fun box set, and I don't regret buying it. However, I just take issue with the album's sound itself. And I'm going to have sort of a backstory to sort of get to a point that I'm making in this, because I'm going to start into that backstory now. So, like, growing up for me, I was about 14 or 15 in 94, and my biggest memory, probably one of my favorite memories, involves music and my dad. There's probably like 3 of them. One was we would be in the car, and I wouldn't shut up because of my ADHD, so the way that we kind of combated that was we played like a guessing game. I'd have to listen to whatever came on the radio, whether we're listening to Motown or whatever, and name that tune. And usually I got it right, but most of the time I'd have to it'd be like the song was on the tip of my tongue, the singer was on the tip of my tongue, and I still do that today. And I hate it when I can't come up with it, you know? But we did that. 2, we used to watch the Everly Brothers reunion concert together that they taped off, that my mom and dad had taped off of HBO. And, you know, that was just a father-daughter type thing. So, and 3 involves the guitar. My dad would play the guitar in the evenings, and like, he was a big fan of Eric Clapton towards the end, before he passed away. And I just always remember him playing the guitar in the evenings, and wishing I could play the guitar too. You know, that never really took off, and, you know, there could be reasons why that never took off, or partially because, well, I'm not the greatest at some of the being able to sit down and teach myself things. And I know I should probably get lessons and go. I mean, just if I can get away. So, with this being said, the album came out about a month of my dad passing away. And I was probably at the time, the first couple of weeks of when my dad was gone, trying to get the computer that he had been working on that just, you know, you type in run, it was like a DOS shell type thing. You type in run this program to get it to recognize either the mouse or the keyboard or both together. And I'd always kind of be fighting with that to be able to get in and play, like, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego type thing. And at first I was getting it to do it, but then this got to this point where it just locked up and wouldn't let me do anything. So I'm sitting here like at the computer turning it all off because I can't do anything with it. And my dad's guitar is sitting like right there, you know, and my hand just reaches out to touch it, you know, and then I pick it up and put the strap around me, hold it the way I'm supposed to. Notice a little poster off to the side that shows me where the finger placement is to play notes, and I start trying to learn that way. Now, I was doing this secretly, kind of thing, you know, I mean, not really secretly. It was known I did it, but I just didn't want to let on how much I kind of wanted to do it. But yeah, I mean, it was an electric guitar because he was playing electric guitar with my brother at the time. So then my brother, I don't remember why he wanted it, but there was some reason why he wanted it. And I just, he was asking my mom, and then we were in the kitchen, and I was just about ready to walk out the door. So I'm like across the room. I hear him say he wants that guitar. I turn around to protest. My mom shuts me up. My brother takes the time to offer it to me. My mom turns around and words the word no. So I'm like, okay. I choked down the disappointment and walked away. And I think a lot of me learning to play might have come just from that letdown, but I don't know. I mean, it sounds stupid though. And I mean, that's the reason why I gave up playing the clarinet. I tried to do band, and I had decided that I was going to actually make a go at it, and my mom and dad bought me my clarinet. And within the first couple of weeks, we were supposed to play a scale forwards and then backwards. And I didn't really put a lot of effort into these things because I was one of those people that kind of cared but didn't care. And so the one time where I decided I was going to put effort into it was this time. And I got on the second try. Not only did I get it in the second try, I had done it correctly. I was the second student to do so. So, of course, all these other students that had put in the effort before I just absolutely started doing it took issue with it, made fun of me, and I didn't want to deal with being made fun of for another reason. So I walked away. And I regret that because I wanted to learn how to play an instrument now, and You know, I could have at least played the clarinet, you know, but no. So, you know, that's it. I'm just saying that this little side story was to sort of talk about this point of the Blue Album. We all know the Blue Album is a guitar-rich album because it's rock. And we all know that rock guitar is a very aggressive guitar. But what I loved about the Blue Album was you had the rock aggressive guitar going on. And be honest with you, I thought it was perfectly done. And then you had those little details that kind of came up out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere. They didn't surprise you that they were coming because you kind of slightly heard the little details come out of the noise of that aggressive guitar. And beautiful. I mean, it was so beautiful to me. And I almost want to say you could liken the Blue Album to the way people would think about a classical piece. The richness of it, the whole idea that you could hear these little details kind of come in and then either come forward and then pass you by, kind of go from left to right and then gone. Or like the ending solo in Only in Dreams, where you have that feedback that kind of goes in the background and it kind of sounds like it's rolling around or flirting around like a butterfly and then kind of comes forward. And, you know, to me, that was just brilliant and beautiful. And it was like somebody got it. You know, it was just so much, it was so full of sound, but yet that sound wasn't just noise to me. It was, you know, the lyrics were there, the songwriting was brilliant. I mean, I thought it was, I mean, I wouldn't have told you at 14 or 15 because I probably didn't know it at the time. But now I would I would go as far to say that Rivers' songwriting for that album and all the other ones I've kind of heard is up there with Paul McCartney and John Lennon, in my opinion. But then again, I'm kind of envious of those songwriters that can take almost anything and write a song that can be fun and you want to listen to. And that's how I kind of feel about his songwriting, because there's a lot of songs that kind of pulled me in that I've heard on Weezer's albums over the last month, because I've kind of been hyper-focusing on their stuff because it's 30 years of music I've missed. And I mean, the thing is, though, like I said, going into it, the biggest issue I have with Weezer 30th is that aggressive guitar. It's not because it's aggressive, because I liked that. I liked it in the beginning. And the original did not need to be any more aggressive than it was. However, I feel like the aggressiveness of this guitar in the 30th, it goes to the point where it's just being distorted way more than it was and than it should have been. And not only that, you have the vocals that are kind of punchy, almost like they emphasized those to punch through all that noise. You know, it's just... And so then I went down all these rabbit holes to, one, figure out how the original album was recorded. I mean, I kind of got on that one today, so I'm not going to talk about that one that much. I mean, I could probably do a whole nother video on that one if you want, to what a guitarist would be looking for in a rock album. And the sound they would be looking for, from what I've understood, is that it's a clear, punchy attack, good presence in the mid-range, that mid-range frequencies. Now keep that in mind, frequencies. Defined low end and enough bite in the high end to cut through the mix, and while maintaining a natural, slightly distorted tone that fits the genus's aggressiveness. Now, think about that. They're saying frequencies here, right? So our voices aren't just one frequency. The guitar is not just one frequency to sound natural. I feel like that the emphasis of the guitar on the 30th has ruined everything else. The frequencies are just not there to hold things up, and things are kind of sounding unnatural, in my opinion. And I mean, And this is why I don't want to be so critical about it, because this is something new to me that I found annoying about it. And maybe it's just because I thought that album originally was so perfect, that now that I've noticed some of these things that are different that don't sound that great to me. And I mean, maybe somebody out there can tell me, has the taste for rock guitar changed in the last 30 years? I mean, you guitarist out there, what do you want to hear when you're listening to rock? I mean, I want to know. I mean, I just wonder if that's what people want to hear, and if it is, why? Why do you want to hear an unnatural guitar that extreme? I mean, the thing is, you can have aggressive guitar. I mean, look at some of the 70s rock bands, some of the 70s metal bands. They have it, but it sounds natural because, you know, obviously they only had analog. But if that stuff gets digitally mastered, I also wonder if some of it loses its glamour, or not glamour, shine, or I don't know. But it just, to me, I feel like the aggressiveness of the guitar has just been pushed too forward. And with that being said, you've lost some details that you would notice in the original than you do in the 30th edition. Like, I think it's at the beginning of In the Garage, where Rivers is playing his Gibson 1974 acoustic guitar. On the back end of that first opening bit with the electric guitar, or with the aggressive guitar, you kind of start hearing the acoustic guitar coming back in a little bit earlier than you would on the 30th in the original. And not only that, it's like the Only in Dreams guitar solo at the end, which I think is amazing, loses the coherentness of everything that sort of would go behind and come back. Just the flutteringness of the feedback that's like a ghost back there, and it comes forward. It's just not there, and if it is there, it kind of just breaks apart. So like, I feel like these little things that I listened for because of the original are not there anymore. And maybe I'm wrong to want that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong to think that the Blue Album is such an iconic album of the 90s because it just totally fits what the 90s were. And not only the sound of it, but everybody likens the sound of that album to Weezer, right? And I mean, I am kind of looking into how they recorded it, because that, take into account, they did it on analog tape, so that aggressive guitar wasn't done digitally. That was done through whatever their amps and whatever technology they could pull it out of. And, you know, it could have been a tube amp, something that sound different, you know. And I mean, people like to knock vinyl because of the warmth of it. Do you really want some of those highs? I mean, I get it, but sometimes, even though it's warmth, it's not so much that it's gone. It's not so much that that attack and the punchiness of it is gone. It's just enough that it kind of rounds it off, that it's not so smack you in the face. And I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. However, going from my tube preamp, which I love this thing, to my little $60 solid state preamp, those highs really just kind of are really, really sharp and really, really bright sometimes. So, I mean, if you want warmth and stuff in vinyl, you usually want to listen to it on with tubes. And, you know, yeah, the warmth is going to be a little bit different than a CD's, but I do feel like with the solid state preamp, with the solid state preamp, it's give or take, and it's got a sharpness to it that you would hear in like a CD. So, I mean, it's not as cold as a CD though. And this is where my problem with digital is I do kind of feel like that it's cold and not human-like. And then maybe I'm weird to think that because, you know, I'm a Gen Xer. I was on one side, the oldies and stuff, and I was on the other where, you know, the internet and everything was just starting to come out. So, I mean, maybe I just musically like being on the other side, the old-fashioned side, and you can think that of me if you want, but I'm not saying that analog is the best way to go, because obviously there's some digital mastered records that I really, really like. But with the tube preamp, it adds that warmth that it would need to sort of feel a little bit more human-y to me, and like more natural that you would be hearing. And I feel like with digital, that naturalness kind of is gone. And then, like, I'm just getting into this fact that, you know, it was digitally remastered. And I'm not saying that digitally remastering itself ruined it, because I don't know. I mean, it's up to the production team, and I don't know if there were some challenges they faced with analog tape that sat around for 30 years. Maybe there was. But I feel the emphasis on the guitar, it was just a little bit too much. And the finer details, the finer bits that make the Blue Album, get lost. And maybe you could sit here and say I'm being a bit picky, old-fashioned, because I want it to sound like it did 30 years ago. Why not? I mean, why should I not want it to sound like the iconic album that it is? You know, why not? But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to harp on about it because I feel like I've done it enough the rest of this video. And I'm going to close it right around here for right now and say that maybe I'll do a couple of deep dive videos that if I find out anything interesting in the rabbit holes that I fell down, while looking up ideas for like how could the Blue Album sound the way it does on the 30th, and how it was recorded in the beginning. So, I mean, if you want that, let me know. I mean, I'll probably do it anyways, but I would like to know if people would be interested in that, especially if it's just the Blue Album I'd be talking about. And I mean, but I feel like the Blue Album is one of the prime examples where I think, why can't we treat like other genres of music like you would a classical music piece? Like every instrument, every part has its role. And when that role isn't being played right, you notice it. And that's what I feel I hear in the Blue Album, that because something's not being played, not playing its role correctly, it just sounds off. And I mean, yeah, you could sit here and say that I'm really horrible for EQing it, but I have to get rid of some of that distortion. And I only have a little 4-band one, so I still lose stuff. And, you know, I have one coming that's like 21 band left and right, so a little more leeway to kind of fine tune things and see if I could just get that beauty out of it from my ears, you know. But as said, it's not what I expected. But that's okay. And I want to know, honestly, if other people would rather have thought of a rock piece as being like classical music, where every role has its role. The vocals, the guitar, the lead guitar, the rhythm guitar, the drums, the whatever is going on in that song. And they are cohesive together to sort of bring out the beauty of all these little details, and that aggressive guitar does not become so aggressive that it overpowers everything. And that's kind of what I feel has happened in the 30th. So I'm going to stop here. If you want some of those deep dives, let me know. And because I'm probably going to fall down that rabbit hole anyways. So let me know if you want any of those like deep dives I've just talked about. And, you know, like, subscribe. Let me know if you want me to shut up about Weezer. But yeah, I mean, I will see you guys later. If you hit that notification, you'll see me whenever I put a video out. Bye.